Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Oh, they're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly, Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you may be in the world. And thank you for joining me here once again at Brands Hatch for the Tanzo Racing Group pre-race practice. Today we will be racing, but it will still be practice. So that's going to be something new on the JPB YouTube channel. No stakes on the line today here, and just some nice practice for the race on Sunday. Joining me in the booth today is Callum Mileham, and I'll be delighted to bring him in. Callum, welcome.
Hello, thank you very much. Looking forward to this. Should be a good day for racing. Lovely clear skies and all, so cars look beautiful out on track already.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's a great track, this one, and well, I've been here a couple of times. We were talking about that before we went live in the green room, and it's a great track with corners like Paddock Hill, bent, a tricky right-hander downhill, a lot of understeer when you go through there, especially in these cars with no real downforce. Of course, then through Pilgrim's Rise onto Druid's Turn 2. Graham Hill bent. A reoccurring theme here on this track is that corner names are named after legendary drivers from the UK. Of course, Graham Hill, Surtees, John Surtees, of course, Hawthorne, Sterling's, you know, all great drivers, and I think, Callum, that this track, well, it deserves those names. It's a great track for racing, and everyone almost likes this.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of the UK tracks, I've noticed they follow that similar kind of pattern, especially with my local track, Snetterton. They also have the names of a lot of famous drivers there as well. One example, which will be familiar for people of all ages, is one of the corners is named after Lewis Hamilton. So I feel like a lot of UK tracks take pride in their drivers and people that go around that track, and it's nice to see, rather than having just a completely random name or something to do with the local area, having it after someone with their racing legacy who have been is their home.
Yeah. Let's talk about this evening as we see Mark go around. That is well, through Surtees, a difficult corner, and easy to do that. As you can see, we are coming to the end now of practice. We will have a 20-minute qualifying session. Well, then after that, we will go into, well, what we call the practice race here this evening. Race number 1 will be 10 minutes long. Between the two races, we'll have a 5-minute warm-up and then a 15-minute race 2. That is how the race will run on Sunday too. This is basically a practice run through the program as it will run on the Sunday for the real event. So the drivers, nothing on the line here basically this evening, Callum. The drivers can just go out there, see how the cars handle, and just get up to grips with the car, get up to grips with the track, and just have a good battle out there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's one of the great things that this league represents as well. It introduces racing to any level of driver, anywhere in the world really. So you can come in here fresh as a daisy. You can come in here and have a seat in F1 or something. It doesn't matter. It's fun to have these practice sessions as well. So you can kind of just watch
For sure. Now I do, or you have told me that you need to apologize to someone. So go ahead.
calling them brothers throughout the entire race, and they were quick to correct me after the race, after apologising that they are actually father and son. So as I've got it here listed down, Ayrton Hadfield is the blue bonnet, and Adrian Hadfield, who I believe is the father, is in the green bonnet. They've done that purely to help commentators.
Okay, well, great to know that they're at least thinking about us. Thank you, by the way, MRB, for letting us know that, well, for the first part of the race, Callum, they couldn't hear you. It didn't have the proper, well, properties selected in OBS. So sorry for that, of course. Technical issues behind the screens here, and you know, we fixed it. They can now hear you. They did hear your apologies, so you don't have to do it twice, which is always awkward, isn't it? But yeah, the second one is for the title and the thumbnail of the video. Also at the start when we had our countdown. It's not spelled with a Z. Tanzo is spelled with an S, as Callum informed me before we went live. So. Well, excuses for that. This will be fixed for the next time, of course. And yeah, we do spell it with an S. We did know that. I think at the point that James did make the thumbnail, he did not know that, so that's why.
I think he was still recovering from the late night last night from the commentary.
For sure. For the people who didn't know, I raced yesterday in the LSRL F1 where James did commentary on, and that ended about 5 a.m. for me. For James, it was 4. But I spun on pit entry, which is always great. You've looked at it, and well, I jumped into the general voice chat in the server from James, and the first thing that he said was, "You spun on pit entry," and then for the next 5 to 10 minutes that we were talking, the only thing I could hear coming out of James's mouth was, "You spun on pit entry." So I don't know if you know where I spun, but I spun on pit entry. There you go.
Yeah, certainly not the best place to spin, if anywhere, on track or at all, especially when you've got someone like James watching, who is definitely going to pick up on that point.
For sure, James is always there, and you know, always there to correct you when you're wrong, especially with me, always giving me grief. Usually Phil is also, Callum, Phil is always in chat. And Phil is a long-time viewer from the channel, and he always gives me grief. You know what he said last night, or 2 nights ago?
What's that?
We have the A-team here, and Dan. And he also said, James is a legend. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said, James is a legend, and Dan is a legend in his own mind.
I think I remember seeing this actually, because I'm pretty sure I was watching the same stream and I remember seeing this, and I was laughing my headset off when I was racing. I was meant to be racing at the time, but I couldn't concentrate because I did catch me off guard quite well, I have to admit.
There we go. That is Phil. Phil, of course, giving me always the grief here in the chat. I haven't seen Phil in chat yet, but of course, welcome to everyone who is watching. Thank you for joining us at the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. We are delighted to bring you, of course, the Tanzo Racing Group pre-race practice. We're in qualifying at the moment. Let's go down, of course, to the action now, because we could rumble on for I think the full race, but we want to see some of the action too. 5 minutes into qualifying now. It is David Smith at the moment leading the way in qualifying. Here he is, David Smith. He's leading the way with a 140 point, and I was just going to say 3-1, but it's Mark Brown who's gone to the pole position on a 139.498. That's a quick lap time early on in the session. We'll see where Mark Brown can put his car. That's a quick lap time, 8 tenths quicker than David Smith. Aaron Kirby, of course, who's also just about 8 tenths off. A big gap for Mark Brown at the top at the moment, Callum.
Yeah, I said after watching it and broadcasting over it last week, there was definitely a tight gap between the top sort of 5-6 cars. So if last week's anything to go by, this is certainly going to be a really close one for the top 6, that's for sure. And then after that, you have your couple of pods of 2 or 3 drivers here and there in their little groups as well. So there's definitely a few groups in here that are going to be close battling out throughout, hopefully, the whole night.
We do have, of course, championship also to talk about, Callum. Since you know these drivers, we do have to mention, of course, that the championship standings is not for this evening, not at all. The championship standings is for the race on Sunday, but we want to provide you the championship standings so you get a reminder of how it is before we go into Sunday. But because you know all these drivers so well, why don't you lead us through the top 18 in the championship?
Yep, so at the top we have Harry Fox, who's on 136 points, and then going down the order we have Marcus Law following on 121 with Aaron Kirby in 112. Eugene Webber in 4th there, 106 with Mark Brown. Daniel Wareham, 104 and 103 there for those two. Chris Rounders on 94, looking to get across in that 3-figure stage. Scott Kostrick is in 88 points there in 8th place, a lot of 8s in that one. Alex Fretwell following in 86 points with Peter Sikdar in 10th place on 78 points. Robert Stoughton closely following with 72 points. Neil Rocks just behind on 69. Rob Sutherland on 68. Richard Flaherty in 67 and Gary Linton with 65. Bottom 3 here are Josh Wiggins in 16th with 63 points. Shane Cotton with 61 and David Smith rounding off the bottom of the table there with 55 points.
That's the top
so
18.
Far.
In the pros, well done, Callum. A lot to read through there, as we do see. I think that's Mark Brown in the background go off a bit. Let's go on to the AM standings then, where we have a top 82 Marcus Richardson in first place there on 148 points. Behind that though, it's James Bostock on 130. 124 for Jack Wyborn, I think I pronounced that correctly, in P3. Oh God, you have to help me with his second name. Joe?
Place number 4 is Joe Willoughby.
Willoughby, there we go. A difficult name to pronounce for myself. On 116, James Pallett in P5 on 106. All very close though from P6, or from P5, excuse me, to P7. Stephen Parker Hamilton in P6 on 105. Very well popular surname, that one. Ayrton Hatfield with a very popular first name in 7th on 102 points. 99 points then for James Howells in 8th, 9th. Stuart Brearley, I think that is, third on 93 points. In 10th place it is Philip McConaughey on 89 points. 86 points for Mark in P11. Martin Lee, oh, that's way off for Mark Brown in the background. Mark in P11 on, I think, 86 as it is. Martin Lee in P12 on 76. Adrian Hatfield in P14. Johnston in P15. Adrian West in P16. And I'm going to do my best here, because I don't think this is going to be one for Callum that he can pronounce too. Hussein Sarakardesler. Hope I pronounced that correctly. Of course, if I don't, let us know. DM us on Discord and let us know how we do pronounce your name if we did pronounce it wrong. Always open to pronounce it correctly. Of course, Cass Corby in P18 on 54 points to round it all off. Let's go back to qualifying, where we find ourselves still with Mark Brown on the provisional pole position. It is Alex Fretwell who is behind him in P2 and Aaron Kirby in P3. But still, 5/10 quicker Mark Brown than man in P2, Alex. So we might well see Mark Brown here run away with it, Callum.
Yeah, I mean, last race was dominated by a single driver, and then we had a close pack following about sort of 7 odd seconds behind. But it's looking today like everything's a very even contest. Now, it's slightly different this week to last week, though, because what we have this week is open setups are now in use. I believe last week when I was covering that, we had a fixed setup session, so there's definitely going to be some play in the timings here, and I think it's going to bring things a lot closer together, because there are going to be some people with some upper hands, maybe some corners are better for others, but because I saw the message a little while earlier today, possibly yesterday as well, another message about it, but it's very recent, I believe, about these open setups, so I think it's going to be something very fresh for all the drivers, and it's definitely going to be a big testing session for a lot of them as well, trying to get as high up as they can in preparation for Sunday and nailing that setup while they've got this time.
Well, that's what this session is really for, to practice what you're going to do on the Sunday. Of course, we will maybe have some driver interviews. We'll see if any drivers are interested in doing interviews with us, or if they may be scared to get into the booth. We're looking at Robert Stoughton here, who is 2.1 seconds off Mark Brown at the moment. He is on a 141.63 at the moment. Did improve last time round to that 141, but it doesn't seem like anyone really able to get close to Mark Brown. Some people in the pits too. David Smith is in the pits at the moment. Still has about 8 minutes, a little bit less left to improve on his time. So he still has some time to get out there and to get a few banker laps in. Jake Baxter in P5 also doing really well. He's 1.2 off. It's all rather close, really, if you take P5 all the way down to P10.
Yeah, I have to admit, I mean, with, again, last week in play, there was definitely strong battles from sort of second all the way down to 10th. Split up into 2 groups, so there's about a second between the 2 groups. But in between that gap, all the cars were within a couple of tenths of each other, and it was just non-stop racing right until the final lap, really. The leader ran away with it. Are we going to see that this week? I don't think so. I don't think there's going to be a clear winner straight away. Fingers crossed there's no accidents, especially heading into turn 1. With everyone wanting to get on the gas as early as they can and getting around that corner as quick as possible and getting the best exit. Hopefully there's not much door-to-door in there to send anyone off. But providing there's no collisions or anything in the first couple of turns, I think the racing's going to be close right up until the flags go out for the final lap.
Well, we're going to see, of course, into race 1. 10 minutes long, race 1, then between race 1 and race 2, like I said, 5 minutes of a warm-up session where we and the drivers have some time to, of course, us to talk about what happened in that first race, and the drivers to, well, rest their arms, rest their legs a little bit, and get focused for race number 2, which will be 15 minutes long. 25 minutes of racing action in total here for you today, and of course 20 minutes of these cars on the ragged edge of the grip that these cars offer to the drivers in qualifying. 14 of those 20 minutes already elapsed, and we are into the last 6 minutes of this qualifying session now. Your top 10 is Brown, Fretwell, McConaughey, I hope I pronounced that correctly, Kirby in P4, Smith in 5th, Proctor P6, Baxter P7, Allen in P8, Hatfield in P9 and Bostock in P10. That's your current top 10. All rather close there, like I said. And the only one really at the top is, of course, Mark Brown. He is half a second ahead of Alex Fretwell and is doing pretty well here in this qualifying session. Is not improving at the moment. Who is improving is Philip here. He's about 6 tenths off. Needs 6 tenths in order for him to well, get up into P1, but he needs only just a bit more than a tenth to gain a position and to get onto the front row. Across the line, he will come in just a second time. Let's see what he's going to be able to do. And he's going to put a time in that is good enough for... We're going to see it. I think he got an off track. I think that lap didn't count. He got an off track, did Philip, I think, because I did not see a lap time come through. And he was improving. So... an off track there possibly for Philip. Something the drivers are going to have to watch out for, Callum, I think, off tracks here, because very easy to get them, especially through turn 3 here, the left-hander.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a high level of concentration that's going to be needed, well, around multiple corners on this track, because when I was speaking with Rob earlier, what I was mentioning was once you get around that left-hand turn as you're pulling away from what normally would be the Indy circuit, where you'd carry on going straight and slightly round to the right for the long sweeping right-hander. As you're going around the back part of the track, I feel like that is kind of a lot of open throttle work and just pedal to the metal. It's a lot quicker in that back section, but there's also you've got to make your moves with the steering wheel at the perfect time, because 1 second off and you'll find yourself in the wall, because once these things even graze the grass, it's like you're on skates and there's no stopping until the tyres in the wall do that for you, unfortunately.
Well, let's hope that's not going to be the case for any drivers here this evening, because The walls, well, they won't give. The tire walls will a bit, but they will help you stop very quickly if you go into them, and not something that these cars would like. Of course, these cars, you can race them pretty hard, which is what we will see here this evening. Of course, all drivers on the edge. Behind this, I think it's Mark Brown who's being held up. A little bit of a slide, though, coming into Druids. And on the exit, he's going to lose out to Robert Stoughton. Robert Stoughton, of course, 2.1 seconds back on Mark Brown. Mark Brown was purple in Sector 1. That slide, though, not going to help his lap time. And, well, we're going to see where he's going to be able to put his car. The problem, I think, will be now for Mark Brown is the fact that Robert Stoughton is ahead of him. Robert Stoughton not as quick at the moment than Mark Brown is. So we could well see Mark Brown here drop back a bit. He still has, I think, another lap in him. We're doing lap times of about 140 average between these drivers. So I think he has one more lap. He's gone down the inside to try and overtake. Of course, he's not going to give his Robert Stoughton. He, of course, is improving himself too. He has 2 green sectors in Sector 2 and Sector 3. He's improving. And he's not let him past. Why would he? He's improving. And it's also very annoying now for Robert Stoughton, of course, that Mark Brown put that car up the inside. It's never good, really, to run this close in qualifying, is it, Callum? You would rather just drop back a bit and go again.
Yeah, ideally that's what you'd want to do, but I think with this session and the setup that we're currently in, I feel like those two, well, from Rob's point of view, I want to say that he will be looking at this as practice for the race coming up here shortly, and also for the race coming up Sunday, for just practicing defending really around this track, because it's not going to be the easiest thing, whether it's attacking or defending around here, but when you're also on a good time as well, it's a bit difficult to let the car behind you go, even if they are going quicker. Because if you've got the line and you're in your greens or your purples, you want to get that car across the line as quick as you can, really. So if you can avoid letting them past, you're gonna, by all means.
Well, we're gonna see what's gonna happen in the race. Of course, it's gonna be exciting. 10 minutes of racing action, like I said at the beginning too, and just moments ago in the race number 1, just to walk through one last time. 5 minutes of a warm-up in between those 2 sessions, and 15 minutes for race number 2. 25 minutes of racing action in total. Ayrton Hatfield at the moment in P12, the man who we are looking at, car number 27. A bit of a slide coming out of Druids, going into Graham Hill, and that is a slide and a half from Ayrton Hatfield, after absolutely drifting this car around Brands Hatch. Of course, he's not going to be able to complete his qualifying lap anymore. Neither is Mark Brown with an improvement, not improving in any sector so far. He had his purple in his first sector, of course, last lap, but the number 143 from Mark Brown. Not able to improve, I think, anymore. Not green, only green in sector number 5. We'll see, can he put an improvement on the board? I highly doubt it, but we're going to see across the line, not an improvement for Mark Brown. He stays on a 139.498. And I think, Callum, that is your pole sitter right there. Qualifying has come to an end. Let's go to the grid and let's see who is going to start on pole position for this race. It is the grid for you. It's Mark Brown who will start in pole position, Alex Fretwell in second, Konashi in third, Aaron Kirby in P4, David Smith P5, Mark Proctor in P6, James Baxter in P7, James Palo in P8, Adrian Hatfield P9, James Bostock P10, Gary Linton, of course, P11, Ayrton Hatfield in P12. Further back then we have Mark Robertson in P13, 14 Marcus Richardson, Robert Stoughton in P15, Scott Kostrich in P16, Andrew West in P17, Chris Cutler in P18, Stuart Brearley in P19, Johnston in P20, Sean Clark in P21, P22 for Martin Lee. And that's it for the grid here this evening. 22 drivers who join us for this event. Let's go down to the grid and see where our pole sitter is. Here you can see the grid. It is Philip who's at the moment in third. No one seemingly there. We're going to have a rolling start. Excuse me. So we're on the backstretch, of course. Here we are. a rolling start here this evening for the GR86s. Not something that I'm used to seeing. Will be one of the first times really that I see the GR86s starting from a rolling start.
I will say this about something I've noticed. The Hadfields, the family, the father and son relationship here, in the standings for the season, Adrian, from what I remember seeing, is lower than Ayrton. And Ayrton's starting just behind Adrian. So I think the battle between them two is going to be feisty. It was last week. They were probably giving each other a good run for their money in terms of getting above the other person. But it's going to be tight between those two. A bit of family feud there, I think.
Now, let me tell you one thing here. Our pole sitter, Mark Brown, has not gone to the grid as we are green already. That was an early start, and it's Alex Fretwell with Philip McConaughey on the front. It's Alex Fretwell who got a grid start. I did not expect everyone to go green that quickly, but of course our pole sitter wasn't there. Alex Fretwell with a great start a little bit further back. Aaron Kirby side by side, I think, with Mark, or David that is. David on the outside, and Aaron Kirby on the inside. Who's going to get out ahead? I think it's going to be David, is it not? It's going to be Aaron Kirby on the inside here through Graham Hill. I suspect, yes it is. So far so good in the background of the 103 of James Baxter has gone off. Hard into the wall, he's going to go back into the pit lane. Meanwhile though, Alex Fretwell has got a great start, but what a surprise. Mark Brown starting from the pit lane here this evening. Callum, so far so good it seems like. The only incident really, James Baxter has gone into the wall coming out of Graham Hill.
Yeah, very unfortunate for James there, giving good chase onto the couple of cars ahead, but fantastic start for Mr. Fretwell there at the top, getting the move done early on Philip, having the better run going into turn one. It's good to see the whole pack getting through turn one quite nicely. Didn't seem to be much contact, or if any at all, from what we could see up here in the booth, but so far so good. I can't lie, it's been pretty clean.
Here we see behind us, we see Philip, of course, chasing down Alex Fretwell at the front of the field. It'll be a straight fight now between those two, and I have a sneaky suspicion that, of course, Mark Brown has started from the pit lane to give himself a bit of a challenge. He's not even been out on track yet, so that's not the case. It is Mark Brown who's not started this race as well. He's already out of this race, not even started, as Philip McConaughey has a little bit of a look going down into turn one, and Alex Fretwell has gone wide now. He's under pressure from Philip, and Philip is going to try and push him into a mistake. Another little look from Philip, not quite able to get past, a little bit further back in the field. This is the battle for P15, 16 and 17. This is between Stuart Brearley, Costridge and Clark. Sean Clark is now overtaken, I think, by Scott. Scott down the inside going into turn two. So far a good start, no one seemingly having issues. And everyone now trying to get into the rhythm. Callum, and how important is it to get into that rhythm, really?
We've got a bit of contact there. David Smith going out. Is that with Mark Proctor as well? Yeah, Mark Proctor's gone out with David Smith. Not too sure what happened there, but just as you were saying that, it is vital to get in a rhythm as early as possible, as these cars will wait for the grid to go by before they rejoin nice and safely. That's good to see there. That was a bit close, but that's good to see. They're waiting, trying to get the whole grid past before they rejoin. Let's just have a look at what happened.
Oh, that's clumsy, really. There was no room for him there.
No room at all. Probably could have let off a bit. Unfortunately, that's two cars. We'd hope not out the race, but with the pace of the leaders in the front pack, it's certainly going to be a big challenge and a big push to get back in the race here.
Well, and also damage to, I think, both of these cars. That was a weird one. There was no space, really, to be honest, for David Smith to go down the inside. That gap wasn't even a car width on the straight, so not really. Yeah, I don't know really.
David Smith may not have the prettiest move there, but he certainly does have one of the prettiest profile pictures. A lovely selfie of himself, I believe. So that is one thing to look out on there. There he is. There's the gorgeous smile of David Smith. May not have the prettiest move, but certainly has one of the best photos of the race.
for sure. And you know, it's great to see them out there on track. David Smith, beautiful profile picture, you have to say. Lovely man, David Smith looks like. But a little bit of a crash again. Sean Clark has gone off. And he's got to let the whole field pass. Yes, he is. He's going to let everyone pass again. There they go. They gain back the positions that they lost on the outside. There was contact too, I think. Let's see if I can find what exactly happened there between the drivers. And I think I found it. Here we go. Let's have a look back at what happened. Chris Cutler, this is a little bit earlier on, I think, even. Oh, touching the grass and just going off.
Bit quick. Not enough braking there on the entrance.
Oh, now no! Oh, that's the number 29. And who is that? I think that is Mark Robinson, who was involved in that too. Had nothing to do with that. Oh, really unfortunate there, to be honest, for Mark. Well, what can you do about it? The further replay, let's look at what happened for Adrian Hatfield. I think he was the driver involved. Adrian Hatfield, it was already coming out of turn 1, Paddock Hill Bend. What's going to happen is he's going to spin it, isn't he? Yes, he is. Contact further.
Luckily, that was minimised as best as possible for both drivers, really. That was good reactions there from the car following.
Sean Clark also in the background. You could just see him. An unforced error. He went off the track completely by himself. No one who assisted him in that. However, Aaron Kirby still in the lead of this race. Behind him it's James Bostock, and James Ballard has dropped down, or has gone up into P3 actually. He has gained 5 positions from where he was. Also James Bostock up 8 positions. As you see, Andrew West and Stuart Brearley dropping down again. Andrew West is facing the wrong way in his number 15. This is an exciting race at the start here. Only, of course, 10 minutes. 6 minutes of the 10 have already passed. But it feels like we've already had action for about 20 minutes here in the opening, of course, race of, well, this practice race. Well, this pre-race practice, really, that we call it here over at JPB. And, well, an exciting one. If this is anything to go by for Sunday, you definitely want to watch that. Aaron Kirby in the 117 still leading the way in front of James Bostock and James Ballard in P3. Like I said, biggest gainers, you're going to see them on the left-hand side. Now you can see biggest gainer in the field is Johnston, who's come from P20 all the way up into P10. So he's doing really well there, isn't he?
Yeah, fantastic start from Johnson, and then carrying it on, like you were saying earlier about getting the rhythm going. He's managed to find a solid rhythm, carry that throughout the race, and the results are showing. When you've got that consistency and that safe drive, and the results soon follow. So it's great to see people climbing the table like that once they get into their rhythm. Is similar to Bostock and Ayrton Hadfield. They're both 2-3 overtakes behind, but also Chris Cutler. Once they get into their rhythms, then the boys, they're just off. There's no stopping them. Even with the best defender in the world in front of them, I can guarantee you they'll get a pass just with the smoothness, the intimidation. Because once you see and hear these cars behind you, it's not always the easiest car to defend against. Really, they're quite small, so you can fit quite a few side by side around the track. So it's definitely not the most enjoyable car to defend against. I have to admit, there are definitely other cars I'd prefer to defend. Oh. Oh. Is that the second contact between those two as well this race? I think that's the same too, yeah. It is, yeah. Oh, roles reversed. It's roles reversed of the first incident there. Instead of David Smith trying to get up the inside of the next turn, it's David Smith on the outside there instead. Yeah, some fantastic pace from the guys at the top there. Aaron Kirby, once there was that clean air behind him, it was just a matter of time before he started extending that gap, and it just worked out very well for him. Bostock, again, lovely finish for him after last week as well. Last week when I was covering it, he had a good solid performance there, looked very strong. Ayrton, I mean, the pace of Ayrton, that's definitely a person to keep an eye on for this second race, because they were not starting, they're about mid-pack at the start of the race, and to finish on a podium as well is fantastic from them. And they had a fantastic race again last week as the last few come across the line here to round out race 1. I have to admit, Dan, I can't lie to you, it's been pretty good race in some instance, but it's good to see. I mean, the first race was fantastic, and I'm getting reports at the minute, just to let you know that the people watching can't hear you. But from the question you've asked about race 1, it's been incredible so far. It's definitely been close racing. The lead changed multiple times. That's not something I got the pleasure of seeing last week. It was a case of one man had the pole position and took off right from the start and did not lose that position. However, this race, it's changed 3 or 4 times. It's been fantastic in race 1. Race 2, I'm looking forward to it because there's definitely some people here that are really strong in this track and made a lot of positions, so it'll be interesting to see if they're fighting either for podium or for just the top 5, really. Any of those positions are fantastic positions to finish in, so it'll be great to see those people with pace up at the top rather than down the pack.
Ooh, he's got to go round.
Ooh.
Interesting pit entry, that one. Oh, is he going to keep it out of the wall? He's not. He's not. He's gone back into the pits. Not the way he wanted, I think.
No, I think he's trying to one-up you with the pit entry there, really. I think he's like, yeah, if I can do it, I can do better.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Callum Mileham, ladies and gentlemen, his first broadcast together with me, already giving me grief about what happened last night. And rightly so, for the people that didn't know, that weren't there, that haven't seen the short on the JP broadcast channel yet. It was me who went into the pit wall on the Nürburgring while being in P4 on my first ever race for the LSRL boys. Yeah, I was in for a podium there. It still hurts, but I think at least Chris Cutler there trying to one-up me. But I still think that mine was worse.
Yours didn't touch any walls though, so I'd say yours was more elegant, I think is the right word for it. That was a lovely drift. I mean, a lot of drifters would be very proud of that. Just the slight kiss on the wall, I think, let it down a little bit.
You know, it's not something that everyone has installed. It's difficult to spin into the pit lane. Try and do it yourself. Try and do it on purpose. Even then, it won't happen.
I've done it many times on many different things. But I do have a little question for you. Well, a little question for everyone, really, whether it's just you or anyone watching, is I don't always touch on this, but livery-wise, while we have more graceful spins on track, is there any liveries that stuck out to you, or what takes your fancy?
I like this one from Chris Cutler too. The gold accents on the car, the gold yellow accents, really, I like it, and definitely one of my favorites. If I would have to name a favorite, I think it's gonna be the one from Alex Fretwell, who has a beautiful livery. That I don't know what sponsor was on it again. Can't remember exactly, but just red is one of my favorite colors, really, and. Yeah, his was red, so that's why. There we go. As once again, Chris Cutler goes off track. Let's hope he doesn't do this in the race.
I think he's just making sure that the grass and everything's placed perfectly, just in case there is, safety precautions. Someone has to test it. That is tradition around these tracks. Someone's got to test it, whether it's barriers or grass. You've got to make sure it's working perfectly for the cars, in case someone goes off. So, that grass has been tested now, so we know that it's safe if someone does have an off-track.
Here we go. There's the grid for you, Callum. Where is them?
So we have Robert Stoughton in first position with Marcus Richardson second, followed by Stuart Briley in third, Johnston in fourth there, and with Mark Proctor in fifth, Chris Cutler sixth, Robinson seventh, Kostrick eighth, McConaughey ninth, 10th is Pallett, Linton in 11th with Fretwell 12th, with the reverse grid of Hadfield in 13th, Bostock in 14th, Aaron Kirby in 15th. That is your full reverse grid. Now 16th we have Sean Clark, Andrew West in 17th, Adrian Hadfield in 18th, and David Smith in 19th, with James Baxter in 20th. And rounding off your grid tonight, we have Mark Brown in 21st and Martin Lee in 22nd. With all the cars lined up on the grid, we'll see if Mark Brown and Martin Lee make a entrance into this race. I just noticed we do have the leader flashing his camera. I was warned pre-race that's going to mean two things. Either he's not enjoying himself, and it's him to in the politest way possible, mention a rude word to me by flashing his camera, flashing his lights at the camera, because me and a couple of teammates made him buy the track to make him race today. So he said he's going to keep flashing just to see if he can put me off, or just put in a bad word, shall we say. I won't recreate that word on the broadcast, but yeah, he wasn't too keen on it because he got no practice, bless him, before the race. But to be fair, starting pole for the second race, so I think it's going to be interesting as we get around here to go green. It's going to be an interesting start. Looking to get an early start though, Rob Stoughton, with all the cars going in side by side straight after. I think this could shape up, if he can get in a rhythm quick enough. This could be a nice little race for Rob.
Well, he's out in front after that start with green and green. And Johnston is round the outside of Brearley, makes that pass, a beautiful pass round the outside of Paddock Bend. Now he's under attack again, the 99, I think, of Chris Cutler has crashed too, and there's an absolute car park going down into turn 2. That is not what you want to see, of course. The 82 of Chris Cutler, what was involved in it too. It was the 99 of Stuart Brearley who well, they collided. That was the initial contact between these two drivers. They're going at it again after they've come out of that incident, and they're almost making contact again. That was a car park going down into turn 2. There's contact between the two again, and they're off again. The 82, he's trying to drive through him.
I think this is a practice tango session, to be fair, between these two now. I think they're trying to get ready for the next auditions for Strictly Come Dancing there. Robert Stoughton with a fantastic lead so far, 1.6 seconds on the car behind, but second and third, oh, we've got an off track back there. Is that Philip? I think that is Philip, yeah, Philip McConaughey going off there, given the position straight to Bostock. All the bumper to bumper, nearly contact there between those two. That was a close call, that's for sure. Close pack following behind those guys. Dan, it's like I said, you will have a couple of packs in these races that are really close together, and then some other drivers that are just spaced very wide apart. Mark Proctor's making big gains on the leader, Rob Stoughton though up in the top, I've noticed, but the pack between these guys is just, it's very close racing, and that's the benefit with the GR86s.
Johnston's off into the pit wall.
Straight into the wall. Hopefully there's no correction.
No.
Forward.
Oh no.
Oh, who did he collect? Is that Philip?
Yeah.
I think he collected Philip there again in the D-Wall livery there. Hopefully those two, both drivers are okay with that situation, but Mark Proctor gaining on Rob Stoughton here now within 3/10. Just a lap ago we were talking about how he's 1.6 seconds in the lead, Rob Stoughton. Mark Proctor is gaining very quickly, biding his time, waiting for the perfect opportunity. He's trying to set Rob up for an easy overtake, hopefully on a straight, but he's going to go in side by side into this long sweeping left-hander. He's going to hold the inside line. Rob's trying to close it in. Are they side by side? So I can't quite tell. Rob's still got the position. There's not even a tenth between it. There is now. This is going to be very close, going into the back part of the track now, which is going to be very close considering how much quicker it is than the start of the track. The game these guys have on third place is an incredible start to this race. This race is just a bit longer, so there's a bit more time for fighting. Rob comes out on top. No, he's got...
Keep it! No, Rob is off.
He's gone into the wall.
He's off.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's interesting physics. Oh, and it's round again.
No, there you go. He's down. Mark Proctor comes away with the position. He's got a good gap, though. I mean, is he going to hold it? That's ultimately the question here, because I'm noticing a few people, whether it's tire temperature or track temperature, people are struggling now.
Let's take a look a little bit further back on what happened exactly at that start. We're going to see now, because here we go. Aaron Kirby is the man we're looking with. There's the man in the middle of our screen. Here we go in the helicam. The JPP chopper flying around Brands Hatch. Oh, there we go. There we can see. And everyone just has to slow down. And Aaron Kirby...
There's slight contact on the car in front there. And the car number 125, the black car, slight contact. But with the JP13, I think that is, or JPB. Is that JPB? That might be a B. That red and white car that's just gone past as well. There's a bit of contact there between those two, but hopefully there's nothing race impeding.
No, that was the green flag, and after that, of course, things happened. So we don't quite have the time to look back at that because there's fighting going on out on track. James Bostock is in contact with Gary Linton, I think, or Aaron Kirby, excuse me, in front of him. Aaron Kirby and James Bostock have both gone off. That has allowed Gary Linton to go through. He's now up into P number 6, and he's up 5 positions from where he started. But let's hear me about this. David Smith, where did he start? For the people who can't remember, on the left-hand side you can see the gain that he's made 15 positions. David Smith is getting started all the way down in P19 and is all the way up to P4 come the end of lap number 3. But maybe he could well take Scott here for P3 at the end of lap number 3. And 16 positions gained, so that's a great opening part of this race here for David Smith. And we're going to see if he's going to be able to do it. He's right up against the back of Scott. He's for sure going to get him down to turn 1. Is he going to get him before the start finish straight? Yes, he is, I think. No, he's not. 15 positions gained by the end of lap 3. We're into lap number 4 now. Though. He's going to get it. Yeah, he got it. That was a done move before they really got to the braking zone. You can't hang around the outside of Paddock Hill Bend, especially if the driver on the inside has the overspeed. He's always going to try and push you wide a little bit, try and claim that corner. That's exactly what happened there with David Smith. Got the position before they got to the exit of the corner. And that's always nice, especially around that corner. He's off though. Keeps it on track. Just a little bit too eager now, I think, to try and chase down Alex Fretwell, who's himself chasing down Mark Proctor at the front of the field and is doing that so successfully. That gap at one point was about 4 seconds.
Yeah, the gap between the front two was massive, but slowly crawling that back with Philip here on the attack by the looks of it, looking to go up the inside. Well, stay behind and get the draft to go up the inside. Is that Sean Clark on the outside?
It is Sean Clark who will now have the inside for the next corner. However, though, Philip is going to get that position and is going to do what you said, going to go around the outside of Sean Clark. Next target for him is Mark Robinson ahead of him. However, it seems like Mark Robinson himself has dropped down from his starting position too. But some drivers already out of this race. Mark Brown, of course, didn't start again. Marcus Richardson, James Baxter and Martin Lee all didn't get out on track. All the drivers that got out on track for the start are also still driving, Callum.
Yeah, it's been incredible. Again, incredible, just like the first race. But I'd say this one's been a little bit better so far to start with the amount of cars that are on track still and keeping it a bit more clean than the first race, apart from the early pile up there. But we've just Fretwell go purple.
Oh, he tried it. I knew he's going to go down the inside. There was Guy Linton. He tried it on Aaron Kirby. Didn't quite make it stick though. Couldn't quite make it stick because there was no opportunity for him to go down the inside of that part of the track. It's all blocked, but Guy Linton not doing too bad here. Up into P7, 4 positions gained from where he started. Doing well here is Guy Linton. Mark Proctor at the front of the field though. 9/10 is the gap to Alex Fretwell. As you just said, has gone purple on the last lap on a 139.83. That is. And, well, ladies and gentlemen, watch this. 8/10 quicker, 7/8 quicker than Mark Proctor did at the front of the field last time round. He is eating into that lead as if it's, well, a very tasty piece of pie. And he's, well, he's eaten into it very quickly. A second that gap is now. We're going to see what he's going to be able to do coming the end of this lap. But we're just over the halfway point of this race. I think he's going to have a good shot at least to have a go at Mark Proctor.
Yeah, 100%. Within 7/10 now and closing the gap very quickly. It's certainly going to bring a tight ending. I mean, look at the lap times there, 4/10 splitting the two drivers. It's going to bring a very tense ending between these two. David Smith trying to pick up the pace a bit to catch up to the front two, but the gap's so big at the minute, it's just going to be battle for first and second for the next couple of laps, that's for sure. I believe we're approaching a back marker now as well. Is that going to put a spanner in the works for one of these two drivers? Is it going to slow one of them down? Chris Cutler, is this one of his off tracks?
I think it is. You know, he's going to spin it. He's going to spin it. There we go. Oh, and it's full
space. I think there's too much grass on them tyres still, because Chris Cutler's had a couple of off tracks onto the grass and the gravel this race, so are the tyres either too cool, maybe just put it in a bit too hot into the corner? I'm not too sure.
Our man at the moment also who's dropped down the order, and here you can see why. As we are behind the trees though. Philip has gone round. That is through Dingledale. The exit of Dingledale, easy to do that really, isn't it, Callum? A corner where you can't really see the entry, and he's done it again. There he is. And this is coming down to Graham Hill, I think, turn number 3. Is he going to touch the grass on the outside and then go round? Yes, he is. That's exactly
that corner's very tricky.
He was not the only one.
Times.
He was not the only one. You can see someone driving away. I don't know exactly who that was, but he was not the only one to do that. As we join back to this battle for the lead, Mark Brooks is still ahead of Alex Fretwell. The gap's still about 0.8 of a second, so it seems like it's stabilized a bit. It is James Bostock at the moment who's got the fastest lap of this race for GP2 Racing.
Yeah, really good race from Bostock. Both races really been very strong for Bostock in terms of position is pace. Yeah, all right, may not be the quickest in qualifying or anything along those lines, but pace overall throughout a race for nothing but consistent lap times. James Bostock has a very strong pace around this track with consistency, so it's great to see him fighting there. Rob Stone coming up on the inside, going into turn 2. He's going to hold it. He's going to get the position. Yep, get the position perfectly. Now it's going to be the battle between the two yellow and green cars here. Two separate teams, two separate liveries. Another car off track. I think that's David Smith there, off track to the side of the picture there. Yeah, he's gone straight to the pits. Back with Robert Stoughton though on the back of Sean Clark. This will be a tight battle between those two, as you've got Adrian Hadfield coming up on the outside of Robert. Is Rob going to be able to hold the inside line safely here through the next turn? Into the right hand of there, smoke up ahead. There's another car in the wall, come back on track. Rob's got to be careful because I think he was on the inside.
Whew. That was, I think, Mark Robinson who did that. Yeah, we also saw him off, I think, in the replay that we showed from Cutler, I think, or from McConney. And Philip has gone off, and at the same time, I think we saw Mark Robinson off too, and he's done it again.
Rob made a nice move up the inside there, getting right past Adrian Hadfield. I believe that's Adrian. Yeah. So straight on the back of Sean Clark again, battle for 8th position there. The gap, I don't know if you've seen this, but the gap between the leader and second place is now only 3/10, even closer up there now. But that was a beautiful move, holding the inside line nicely there. Unfortunately, the car he's made it on has gone slightly wide there on the exit. Luckily, the run extended a bit there, so there's a bit of saving grace, but not quite enough. The battle for first, so within 2/10 now. Fretwell's pace is just unmatched really at this point with Mark Proctor, but Proctor's only got a few more minutes to go until the end of the race. Is he going to be able to hold it? That is the question coming into these last few turns of this lap. It's certainly going to be a tight end to this race, Dan.
Well, 3/10 is the gap at the moment. 2 minutes, excuse me, left of this race. I think next lap might well be the last lap. He's off though. Alex Fretwell sees it happening, is able to break in time. Mark Proctor off into the wall. That's our leader of the race, and the pressure in the end, Callum, just a little bit too much for him. I think it was doing well to keep Alex Fretwell behind. However, just pushing a little bit too hard on the exit of Dingledale, which is easily done, smashes it into the wall. Let's see how that car is going to handle now for him. The tyres will be hot for sure, so he's going to have to watch out, but I think Alex Fretwell, if he doesn't do anything crazy here, might well have this victory in his back pocket. And across the line comes Mark Proctor to complete another lap of 1:47. There you can see the gap about, what, 6.1 seconds really, or 6.9, excuse me, and well, oh man.
It's a white flag lap as well, so it's right on the last minute of the race. It's hard to watch. I have to admit, with Mark Proctor having a good race so far, he's had some good pace to get up there in the first place. Guess letting off maybe a little bit after he got it, but it's really unfortunate to see, especially with Mark Proctor, who does have quite strong pace around this track. Rob Stoner still battling out for 8th place, looking to make a move on the outside, trying to come in side by side, doesn't quite have the speed to do it. Looking to try and gain that time back while also trying to check his mirrors, keep Adrian behind him. There's a bit more of a gap between those two than what there is in front of him, but he's going to kind of be splitting his time 50-50, looking in the mirrors and looking ahead. Doesn't want to lose any positions now, especially on the last lap, because that could make all the difference. Oh, it looks like Sean Clark has gone wide. Sean Clark's gone off track. Adrian Hatfield and Robert Stone take advantage over that. Looks like we've got Gary Linton going slow as well. Maybe he has an internal issue there. Not too sure what's happened with that one.
He's run out of fuel. Let me tell you what has happened. He's run out of fuel.
There we go. Right at the end of the race as well. Trying to run a light car, I can understand, but that's unfortunate.
Here he is though, Alex Fretwell coming onto the start-finish straight to take a victory that should have been his in race number 1. Wasn't quite the case. He does it though in race number 2, and a good practice evening here for Alex Fretwell. Did well to come through in P1. Mark Proctor behind that, though, actually setting a quicker lap time on that last lap than Alex Fretwell did. So he would have kept P1, I think. Oh, man. Got
Wins
it,
the
really.
damage as well. Very impressive.
Got it, really, for Mark Proctor here, honestly. He did so well, did he, in that last lap and throughout the whole race, really, to keep that position. But, oh, man. It was just not enough. He made that mistake, and after that mistake, it was pretty much done and dusted for him, and there was no holding it anymore. And at that point, as we see, Robert Stoughton also coming across the line together, I think. Who was that? No, that was not Robert Stoughton. I think that was Sean Clark with Ayrton Hatfield, coming across the line. Behind that, though, Stuart Brearley also across the line, the 99. And so as everyone almost finished this race, Andrew West is the only driver out on track, I think, at the moment. No, he's finished. So Johnston was the last one to come across the line. Couple of drivers not making it to the end. And let's take a look at who those drivers exactly were. Alex Fretwell in P1, P2 for Mark Proctor, P3 for Aaron Kirby, 4 for Scott Crosstick, James Pallett in P5, Bostock in P6, Robert Stoughton P7, Adrian Hatfield in P8, Mark Robinson in P9, Sean Clark P10, 11 for Ayrton Hatfield, 12 Stuart Brearley, 13 Andrew West, 14 John Johnston, 15th Gary Linton, Chris Cutler in P16, David Smith in P17, P18 for Philip McConaughey, Marcus Richardson, James Baxter, Brown, and Lee. All of those drivers not making it to the checkered flag. Neither, I have to confirm, that David Smith and Philip McConaughey. So all those drivers not making it to the checkered flag. Sadly, I think Gary Linton also didn't. He ran out of fuel on the last lap. I want to see if... Where is he? Gary Linton. Where are you? Here we go. We're going to have a quick look back at what happened to him. Oh, there he is. He's already been off track here. Now, let's go on board with him for a second here. Yeah, you see? No engine anymore.
Yeah.
No engine anymore there. Switch that again. You hear this? No engine.
Nothing. Yeah.
So I think that's just running out of fuel. That's the only thing you of course have with open setups. You can run out of fuel, and if you just risk it a bit too much, and that wasn't a bit. He was quite far off the start-finishing line still. But if you just risk it too much, that's what can happen to you on the last lap of the race. And you know, it's something that's easily done. And you know, oh man, it's like it happens so easily. But hey, that's racing at the end of the day, isn't it, Callum?
Yeah, it is. Again, it's tough. It's one of those tough things to watch when you're racing, but when it happens, especially if you're the driver, that lowers your heart so much. Really, when you hear the engine just conk out and that's it, done. There's nothing you can do. It's out of your hands. It's difficult to watch as well sometimes in these races, because especially these ones, they're so short that you wouldn't expect something like that to happen. But when you're trying to do this whole open setup, there's a lot of things to keep an eye on when you haven't got someone in your ear all the time, being your race engineer spot or anything. You know, there's a lot of things as a driver you have to take care of, and for fuel to be something that goes, something that, well, really should be watching every car is very, very hard to watch when that happens for drivers. But with the amount they've had to take on today with the open setups, with the recent announcement of those, I'd say every driver has done very well tonight. It's been very enjoyable to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I enjoyed it this evening. It was a great practice race. I think the drivers got some valuable information for the race for Sunday. Of course, if you are around Sunday, of course, make sure you go and watch it. An exciting race, of course, here at Brands Hatch, and I think this practice race has really shown you what this track has in store for you. I've been to this track too many times this week. I say too, well, you can't really go too many times to this track because it's an amazing track to go to, really. So you can't really go to it too many times. It's just a lot that I've been here, but an amazing track always provides us with great racing in what well, whatever car you send it round, basically. So in the Porsche Cup cars, in the GR86s, in the Radicals, every car that you send round here, it just seems to perform well, and I think that's also, of course, well, business from the track, basically. It's great to have this track on the calendar too, and I'm looking forward to Sunday, Callum.
Yeah, Sunday's shaping up to be a really good race. I mean, if today's anything to go by, it's going to be fantastic watching these cars go around this Sunday. So, obviously, if you've enjoyed today and you're looking forward to watching these cars go around again with battles as close as what we've seen today, Sunday, make sure you have that free, because that's going to be very fun to see. Looking ahead, though, looking at the future fixtures of Oran Park, you've got Silverstone and Donington. There's certainly going to be some tight battles. I'm especially looking forward to Silverstone in the calendar coming up, though, because I feel like there could be a lot of battles on that track, especially with it being, I'd say, a little bit wider than Brands Hatch in terms of battling. There's definitely more space in it, and Donington, I feel like it's a tricky track to nail in these cars. There's a lot of places where you can have spins, bit too much gas through corners, things that will just put the car unsettled, and that could easily throw you off. But today's racing has been fantastic so far, so yeah, looking forward to Sunday, and props to all the drivers that have attended today, and it's been incredible.
Yeah, for the people who didn't know, this is not a race that had any stakes, really. No points on the line, nothing, just running through the schedule as it would be run on the Sunday. This is what, of course, Tanzo Racing Group does every Thursday, really. So join us next week again for the Tanzo Racing Group when you're here and when you're able to enjoy this nice GR86 action. It's always nice to see, one make series race out on track. As with any one make series, it's the driver that makes the difference and not the car. Well then, it's been amazing to have you all here. Callum, thank you for joining me in the booth here this evening. It's not always easy sticking it up with me here in the booth. Ask James that. He will tell you the same thing. But thank you for, of course, being here in the booth. Looking forward to next week. You, of course, at home, all, thanks for watching. It's been amazing to have you around. If you haven't subscribed to the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel yet, make sure you do that to not miss any of the action, some of the upcoming action that I can tell you about this evening, of course, is that we have the Peak Up Americas coming up. We also have the Triple Bypass Gen 4 League from the Iowa Speedway. James and Kelsey doing that one. And then, of course, on the Thursday evening, we have the SRL CCR, the final round at Road Atlanta, the short track. And then on Saturday, we have the PEC, the Platinum Endurance Championship, 6 hours of Road America, and the VWC Historic from Silverstone. I'm not going to go over everything we have on Sunday because we're going to be here for a while then. But that's it for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for watching once again. Thank you, Callum, for joining me in the booth. And from me, from Callum, from everyone from the Tanzo Racing Group, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.